Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Delhi Capitals have beaten the Kolkata Knight Riders by 44 runs, a comprehensive victory for them. And they lost since they lost their last two games. They would have wanted to win this one. And regarding their two losses, I think in the game against the Gujarat Titans, the only thing that prevented them from winning that game was the loss of wickets outside the Rishabh Pant and Lalit Yadav partnership. And against the Lucknow Super Giants, I think if you combine Rovman Powell and David Warner's innings, it adds up to 7 of 22. Had they got a few more runs from the 22 balls, then it may have added 10 to 15 runs to the overall total, which would have gone a long way in helping DC win the game. And even then, they managed to create some scoreboard pressure towards the end. With if it had Krunal Pandya not hit the six off Mustafizur Rahman, then at that point the momentum was going in the Capitals' favour. So some positives from that loss, and apart from one bowler, every other bowler was treated with respect. And despite these things, though, I think they were still wanted to make things right set things right in this game, and they did exactly that. 215 for 5, the highest first innings total in this tournament so far. And despite the fact that the track was a belter, it was going to be tough for KKR to chase this total down, since 200 plus totals are never easy. And also, with these 4 games that KKR have played so far, their batting lineup hasn't exactly been convincing, despite them winning 3 games out of 4. And they were coming up against a very good Delhi Capitals bowling lineup. So I thought at the innings break, Delhi Capitals were in pole position to win this game. KKR were in it for a while, but a span of 5 overs with seeing 44 runs being scored for the loss of 5 wickets. That pretty much spelt the Delhi Capitals win, and the Capitals were excellent in this game. So regarding the starting 11s of both teams, one change for the Capitals, Khalil Ahmed in for Anrik Nokia. Now, I don't think this is exactly a fitness related change. I think that since Anrik Nokia would be rusty, I think it's been quite a long time since he's played competitive cricket. He missed India's tour to South Africa completely. So I think that he did go for runs, and it's not necessarily a worrying sign as such, because he would have been rusty. And maybe they just thought if he could get a bit more rhythm bowling in the nets and then bring him back, things would still be okay. And they'd have that one overseas slot available, so he would just walk straight back into the team. And replacing him with Khalil Ahmed, honestly, for this season, it doesn't do much disservice at all. I think he had an outstanding first 2 games. He missed the previous game because of Anrik Nokia's inclusion, and so considering the performance he gave in this game as well, I don't think that even before this game, I don't think that including Khalil Ahmed in this team was any disservice. I think in the last 2 games, he's probably been bowling at his best for a long time, and probably certainly the best I've ever seen him bowl. And for the Kolkata Knight Riders, this exact same 11 as in the win against the Mumbai Indians. So Shreyas Iyer won the toss and chose to field first, and an outstanding opening partnership from Prithvi Shaw and David Warner. I mean, from the very first ball, it was a covered drive from Prithvi Shaw, just using the pace of Umesh Yadav and also the hardness of the surface. And yeah, just from then on, it was always going to be a very high scoring encounter. It was a belter of a pitch. I would say probably the best batting surface of this tournament. And yeah, really, it's 51 of 29 for Prithvi Shaw. Once again, like the previous game, the zones that he mostly hit his runs were kind of in the extra cover regions, square of the wicket, and also just in front of square. It's been another really good knock from him, and as I said before, Prithvi Shaw, David Warner, Rishabh Pant are the heartbeat of this batting lineup. They don't have Shreyas Iyer, Marcus Stoinis, and Shimron Hetmyer, and Shikhar Dhawan as well. So Marcus Stoinis, so 4 players really that they don't have, which would have alleviated things. They've probably found a replacement opener, but they haven't found replacements for the other players, and so there is more of an onus for these 3 to stand up. Prithvi Shaw was able to have kind of a hot and cold seasons before. He had a very good season, a brilliant season the previous year, 484 runs, I think, with 450s. But I think with him being at the focal point, or one of the three focal points of this batting lineup, you would have thought that there's an extra responsibility on him. And so far this season, he really seems to be taking to things well. And yeah, I mean, he honestly, in this format, as a hitter up at the top, it is such fun to watch him bat. And David Warner, 61 of 45, mostly played second fiddle to Prithvi Shaw, but he was also excellent. I think with also the sixes that he was hitting off Varun Chakravarti, him and also Rishabh Pant as well, and I'll get to Chakravarti in a bit. I thought, once again, look, he's probably overall the best batsman to ever play in this tournament, David Warner. I mean, he's not the highest run scorer, that's Virat Kohli. I'm saying, in terms of context, as to just leading from the front, he is probably the best batsman to play in this tournament with his overall record. In terms of 50s and number of innings, he's probably got the best ratio amongst anyone else. So a 50 for him after a bit of a sour season from the Sunrisers Hyderabad last season. I mean, you didn't really want things to end that way, and he went from being the leader of their franchise, winning them an IPL trophy, to waving a flag in the stands, and you'd think, how did it really get to that kind of situation? And so seeing him score a very good 50 for the franchise where it all started for him in the IPL, I think that it was a great thing to see. He did slow down though. At one point he was 55 of 35, and then in the last in his last 10 balls he scored 6 runs, but still a very good 50 from him. And Delhi Capitals were motoring along, and at one stage, they were nearing 150 by the end of the 13th over, and with Rishabh Pant being dismissed by Andre Russell in a similar fashion where he was dismissed by Timo Mills. Again, not really in control when the ball was bowled, a shorter delivery well outside the off stump, and was caught also, I think, third man. And this is where the innings, the breaks were kind of applied, I think. I mean, after 145 for 1 and 12.2, in the next 5.4 overs, they only scored 31 runs, losing 4 wickets. And that was something which should have gone in KKR's favour. Warner slowing down from 55 off 35 to scoring 6 off his next 10 balls. Lalit Yadav, not a great dismissal from him, 1 of 4. And Rovman Powell still hasn't come to the party. And I think with Prithvi Shaw, David Warner and Rishabh Pant, I just think that they would need that fourth player to really step up. And with the form that Rovman Powell's been showing in international cricket, there's, for me, I think that he has to step up in this lineup. He has all the ability, but so far in the first 4 games, he hasn't exactly come to the party. And after 176 for 5 in 18 overs, the innings had dramatically slowed down from how it was going before. And Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur, I mean, how just 2 brilliant knocks from them, 22 of 14 and Thakur 29 of 11. I mean, when Thakur was hitting, you kind of just thought he was more of a batsman hitting at the death overs at some shots that he hit. And I thought the shot of his innings with that 6-over cover of the bowling of Umesh Yadav, who, after giving 25 runs in his first 3 overs, which you'd think in the context of the situation is brilliant, he then bowls his last over and predictably gives runs at the death, 23 runs in his last over. Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur are magnificent, lifting their side to 215 for 5. And 39 runs being scored off the last 2 overs, which would have disappointed the KKR unit after getting them 176 for 5 in 18. And yeah, I know it's kind of where, yes, a huge positive for the Capitals was that, look, the balance that you get from playing Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur on the same side is just ridiculous. With bat and ball, they'll just give you so much. So those two are very capable of playing the innings that they play today, so I'm not surprised by that at all. But at the same time, I think Lalit Yadav won them a game the previous time, and they're still going to have to, we're playing him at number 4 in this game. I think that they may have to expect more. They'd want more consistent contributions from him. I know it's only been 4 games, and he has actually made a good start to this tournament in the first 2 games that he played. Winning the game against the Mumbai Indians for his side, and also that partnership between Rishabh Pant against the Gujarat Titans, which while they were both batting, it looked like the Capitals would win quite easily. So he has made a good start to this tournament. And Rodman Powell, I think that he needs to get into the party a bit more. And that's the reason why I think that as much as there would have been a positive with Akshar Patel and Thakur playing the way they did, I think there would have been a greater positive had Rodman Powell shown what he does in international cricket in this game. And regarding the KKR bowlers, what I said before was pretty much, look, what we saw against the Mumbai Indians was that 83 for 3 in 15 overs, and if they don't completely manage to destroy the opposition before the death overs, they struggle. And from there, when you have the likes of Suryakumar Yadav and Tilak Verma batting at that time, they struggled to contain them, and Mumbai got to 161. Now, in this case, it was a belter of a track. They weren't going to be able to destroy the batting side from the outset. It was going to be hugely unlikely. That too, when you have this dynamic duo like Prithvi Shaw and David Warner and this kind of batting track and Rishabh Pant to come as well, it is very unlikely that you're going to be able to destroy the batting lineup with those three as the top three, you could say, in these conditions. And so since they didn't do that, KKR were always going to struggle in this game. And it was just a question of how many runs they would concede. And 215, I wasn't surprised by that at all. Umesh Yadav, 3 good overs at the start, but then, well, you could say, according to the situation, gave 25 runs in his first 3 overs, I think, with 23 runs in his last over, unsurprisingly. Rafiq Salam only bowling 1 over for 10 runs. Sunil Narayan, I thought, was magnificent. On this kind of belter of a pitch, 2 for 21 and 4. That too, he dismissed Lalit Yadav and Rodman Powell, and it was during that period where Warner also slowed down, where it was 31 for 4 and 5.4 overs. So outstanding figures from him. Andre Russell, 1 for 16 and 2. Again, good that he didn't bowl more than that. And Venkatesh only bowling 1 over, but was injured trying to flick back a 6 from David Warner. The shot that got him to 50, but Venkatesh had also injured himself in the process and looks quite uncomfortable when he was batting. Now, the bowler that I want to talk about is Varun Chakravarti, and I think, look, he's not a big turner of the ball, and something which went against him today was that with how Rishabh Pant and David Warner were hitting him, especially over the mid-wicket area, I think that they kind of played him like a medium pacer. He doesn't really turn the ball too much, bowls it in the kind of the speeds in the mid-90s, and so they just played him almost like pretty much like a medium pacer. He bowled 2 no balls in 1 over and got hit for 24. So not the greatest time from him. I think that 1 over probably ruined his figures quite a bit. You could say if you subtracted that 1 for 20 in 3 overs, and yet 24 runs from him, 1 for 44 in 4, and he had a bit of an off day. I think the inexperience did show, because you've got someone like Sunil Narayan who does turn the ball more, and I think that certainly he is far more experienced than Varun Chakravarti, and so when both of those two fire as a combination, they are the best spin combination that I've ever seen. But certainly, if Varun Chakravarti goes for runs a few times on these kind of belter of pitches, I think that you do have to forgive that, because he is fairly inexperienced at this level. And with what you get from him on every other day, he's absolutely world class. So him and Narayan is still the best spin bowling partnership I've ever seen, especially in the IPL. And I just think that in this case, it was just the fact that it was such a belter of a pitch. And Pat Cummins, the moment you've got to say, he was always going to struggle in this game, I felt, with the fact that there wasn't exactly going to be that movement at the start. For example, in a Wankhede pitch, for example, they weren't going to be able to do what they could have been able to do in the other games that they played in this one. And so since Umesh Yadav and Pat Cummins weren't going to be able to set the platform, so it was going to be a struggle. So none for 51 in his 4, I wasn't too surprised. So overall, a formidable total from the Delhi Capitals. And you kind of thought that it was going to be quite hard for KKR to chase this one down. And starting off with their innings, the first 2 balls of the innings were referrals, and I understand why the second one the umpire gave Rahane out. I think that it wouldn't have been that apparent that the ball hit the inside edge in real time. But maybe, look, the umpire would have had the best view of it from where he was standing. And in the first one, I didn't understand it. It clearly hit the back pad as it was going through. And apparently in the third ball of the innings, it should have been a wicket. So Rahane quite lucky at the start of, well, not for the first two, but I'm saying certainly in the third ball of his innings. He got one boundary, but he did struggle to get it away. Khalil Ahmed was absolutely outstanding, and courtesy of a brilliant catch, a running catch by Shardul Thakur, Rahane was dismissed by Khalil Ahmed for 8 of 14. Not a great return when you're chasing a target of 216. Venkatesh Iyer really got a whirlwind start, 18 of 8, hit 2 sixes and a 4. The 2 sixes, both off Shardul Thakur over fine leg. He was grimacing slightly because of that knee injury that he picked up in the first innings when trying to stop a 6 off the bat of David Warner. And even then, look, I was gonna say, that he hadn't exactly come to the party so far, but I'm saying, look, one, he was injured in this game, and I can't really. I think it'd be unfair to judge him. Two, I think he capitalized on the poor bowling. He still gave he still got a great start in his first 7 balls, and even the ball that he did get out, I mean, there was opportunity for him. Yes, he was slightly cramped for room, but he pretty much hit that ball, which was kind of cramped him up for room in the leg side, straight to the square leg fielder. So 18 off 8. I mean, again, I'm not going to really say too much about him because I think it's unfair to judge him when he was clearly in pain, but he did give a good start to his side. And Shreyas Iyer walked out of bat, and he was absolutely incredible. And after 38 for 2 and 4.4, Nitish Rana and Shreyas Iyer had a brilliant partnership until the score was on 107, which they were Rana was dismissed in the 12th over. But some of the shots, mostly power, just powering the spinners away. Nitish Rana really, he plays the shot really well, hitting, slog sweeping the spinners over mid-wicket. And he was going really nicely, hitting 3 sixes. And Shreyas Iyer, I mean, if you want 2 shots in his innings, if you want to really see why he's the best player of spin in the world, one, that 6 off Akshar Patel, where over long off 89 meters, and bowled at 99.5 kilometers per hour, and yet he manages to actually go down the track slightly and hit it for 6 so convincingly. I've seen him muscle the spinners over mid-wicket, but this shot was just extraordinary. And the shot of Kuldeep Yadav to get to his 50, just danced down the track and just pinged off his bat over mid-wicket. Those 2 shots to show why he's the best player of spin in the world by miles. And his overall strike rate says 124. Well, guess what? In the last few games, whether it be for international cricket or for KKR, he's not striking anywhere near that. He's striking near the 170 mark, 160, 170 mark. In this innings was an outstanding innings, shows his class. 54 of 33. Would have been disappointed with the way that he was dismissed though. I mean, straight after hitting a 6, he didn't pick the googly, and he kind of tried to play a similar shot. It was a bit more closer to him, but he was stumped off the bowling of Kuldeep Yadav. From this point in time, KKR were always going to struggle. That wicket fell 10 runs after, and it fell in the next over after Nitish Rana was dismissed. So 2 set batsmen being dismissed, and Andre Russell and Sam Billings are very destructive, and also Pat Cummins to come as well. Sunil Narayan also can be handy. So I think KKR had the batting left to get this total, but it was going to be increasingly difficult because you didn't think it was going to be as smooth sailing as Shreyas Iyer and Nitish Rana's partnership. And it wasn't, because look, I mean, I thought especially 2 bowlers for the Delhi Capitals have really shown their resurgence in this season so far. Khalil Ahmed, 3 for 25 in his 4. I mean, that's the reason why before the game I thought even replacing Nokia with him, they weren't doing any disservice at all, because he was outstanding in the first 2 games, and I thought 2 for 34 was in the second game wasn't exactly testament to how he bowled. 3 for 25 in this game, absolutely outstanding from him. Should have got a 4th, you could say. I mean, had Andre Russell fell off the bowling of Khalil Ahmed, and Rishabh Pant just got there to complete the catch. It was a tough running catch to execute, but it would have been two great four-firsts for the bowlers that deserved it most. Khalil Ahmed and Kuldeep Yadav were outstanding. And Mustafizur Rahman, none for 21 in four. I mean, an outstanding performance from him. And Kuldeep Yadav, 4 for 35 in his four. His resurgence has been brilliant to watch. And it's a reason why, look, I'm going to link it to CSK here, because I actually thought before he was bought by the Delhi Capitals, I would have wanted CSK to, yes, the playing a frontline spinner isn't in their template, but just what Kuldeep Yadav would have gained bowling when MS Dhoni was behind the stumps just would have been great for him. And even then, he's managed to have such a resurgence bowling with Rishabh Pant, who's also, so seems to be Kuldeep Yadav seems to really find this a conducive environment for him, and there was going to be quite a bit of pressure on him, I thought, to replace the likes of Ravichandran Ashwin, but he's done that superbly. 4 for 35. Him and Khalil Ahmed getting wickets and going at well under the rate required for the Kolkata Knight Riders to win this game. So outstanding performances for them, and along with Mustafizur Rahman's number 21. I mean, KKR were going to find this very difficult. 44 for 5 in a spell of 5 overs pretty much sealed the deal. And yeah, in the end, Delhi Capitals winning this quite convincingly. And I think that's the reason why I wasn't worried about them at all when even though they lost 2 games back to back. There are positives that you could take from especially the second loss. I thought with the first loss, I mean, the batting still looks a bit fragile if Prithvi Shaw, David Warner and Rishabh Pant, at least 2 of them don't fire. I think that this isn't like the Delhi of last season, for example, where you had a star-studded batting lineup all through. And it's again, with the balance that Akshar Patel and Shardul Thakur offer, you certainly get a lot of value there. Sarfraz Khan has been in the form of his life in the domestic circuit. He himself is a very explosive batsman, and yet he didn't really have to bat today at all. So that was something which was, even though he didn't bat, they got to 215 for 5. I think with Lalit Yadav's performance in the first 2 games, they really seemed to back him they seemed to back him to walk in that situation, even though Sarfraz Khan at this point in time, in my view, seems the more explosive batsman. And yeah, so far I think that for the Delhi Capitals, if the batting does improve slightly outside the top 3, I think if Romban Powell really gets a good score, then this side is looking very strong. And for KKR, I'm not surprised that they lost this game. I wasn't convinced by the 3 wins out of 4. I just thought, look, there's such an obvious theme that they want to execute, which is just get a really bowling-friendly surface, bowl first, destroy the opposition before the 15th over. Even if you go for runs at the death, you'll be chasing 130 and somehow stumble over the line. I mean, that's pretty much the game plan that they wanted. I mean, they would have wanted every single game that they'd played this season to go that exact same way. So the moment they encountered these conditions, it pretty much spelled out a loss for them, let's be honest. And they were coming up against a side like the Delhi Capitals, who I think will, in my view, will almost certainly make the playoffs this season. I think that the KKR, they're going to have to they pretty much have no way out of this predicament as well. I think that with the bowling, you wouldn't want to take, you wouldn't, if you want to play Tim Southee and leave out Sam Billings for Sheldon Jackson, I don't think that's a wise move, because as I've said before, Sam Billings and Andre Russell and to an extent Pat Cummins, Ansel Narayan maybe, are their power 4, you could say. And I just don't think with Sheldon Jackson being in place of Sam Billings, I think you'll lose that versatility that Sam Billings brings to the side. And he also seems to be doing well against his spinners, especially Chakravarti is a mystery spinner, but he doesn't turn the ball much, and maybe that is playing in Sam Billings' favour. But even then, he's doing a great job with the gloves as well. So I don't think there's a change needed to be made there, but certainly the top order batting. If you remove Shreyas Iyer, this team does look a bit vulnerable. They needed Russell to bail them out of trouble against Punjab. They needed Pat Cummins to bail them out of trouble in the game against Mumbai. So certainly, if you get Shreyas Iyer out, this batting out looks a bit vulnerable. That's something I have to change. Also, their death bowling is honestly woeful. And if they really come up against a team on a flat track, that to a team like the Delhi Capitals, they'll pretty much get rolled over. So that's pretty much what I think about KKR, and they're gonna have to really improve. And I don't exactly see a way in which they can improve, especially considering they're playing the roster they have this season. And so that was this game, and yeah, let's see what happens in the next game tomorrow. I don't exactly know what it is, but I think the SRH versus the Gujarat Titans will be an interesting game. That. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share the video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?